Hello everybody and welcome back to the Quilters Apothecary. This is QA News and it is today, July 26th on a Friday. So this is your episode for now through the next few weeks, kind of about an update about what's going on. And I'm going to be checking my notes a little bit. So if I look down, it's because I do want to make sure to hit everything that's in my notes. I seem to have a nice amount today, but we'll make it fairly quick. So this August 2nd will be our first drop on YouTube on the Quilters Apothecary channel for the complete guide to thread and tension. Now that's a really good little video series. And it's going to be a two-parter, and the first part is going to include talking a lot about your bobbin winder and some of the little tips that I have found to make winding your bobbin and getting a good tension on your bobbin when you wind it perfect. Because that is important, because we want to remember that most tension issues start in your bobbin. 95% of problems with tension is all about your bobbin case. We also do a pretty complete and extensive part on your bobbin case. So that is going to be definitely a series you're going to want to watch if you are a surface quilter or if you are a sit-down quilter with piecings. I know that a lot of us say, well, we shouldn't mess with our tension on our piecing machines, but I would say if you have a bobbin case, I'm not talking about the drop-in bobbins, but if you have a bobbin case, you need to know about how to control your tension, not just from the top, but also from the bottom, because I have found, even as a piecer or sewist rather than a long arm quilter, that has become very helpful with the machines that I have that actually have bobbin cases, and especially those of us that are using some of the wonderful bigger machines for piecing, like the Jukies and some of the other brands, the semi-industrial or the industrial. So that's a good series to keep an eye out. Next, we are going to be doing, and actually this is kind of a surprise to Rich, so you may hear in the background, but we will be doing for YouTube on Quilters Apothecary a piece along. Now that's going to take us through the fall and a little bit into the winter through the holidays. And that's going to be exciting. And I am going to hold off on telling you what we're actually going to be doing the piece along on until the end of September, which is when we will do our prep video for that, and we'll show an example of what we're going to be doing, and then you can decide whether or not you want to join along. It's not one that we're going to be showing every time we post a video on YouTube, but it's something that's going to be thrown up at least once a month. We'll add a little addition, and that way we'll be able to see everybody's progress, as well as you'll be able to see my progress. We might do a few lives with that, so that's exciting, and that's coming up for the fall. And remember, if you don't want to join then, and you want to wait until the dead of winter when you're trapped in the snow, you don't have to start it when we start it, but you can always enjoy watching it. That way you can be thinking of fabrics that you want to choose and those sorts of things. So that's another thing that's coming up to be excited about here on the channel. The other thing, and let me look here, of course, our Patreon channel is out there and going extremely well and strong. And I thank my Patreons every day, because they're wonderful for their support, and I certainly dump a lot of information and education out there to make sure that they're happy with what they're getting. Now we are continuing our thread painting series. That's going wonderful. In fact, today, after we finish filming this QA news update, we will be working on another episode for the thread painting series. But that being said, the other thing that we have going on now is we have released on the Patreon channel a couple of our first videos for our whole cloth series. And what we're focused on right now are medallions and center medallions. So we're kind of focusing a little bit on those types of designs and how to work them out in your head. And also I'm giving instruction and tutorials on some of the designs that I like to use that can be tweaked in 1,000 ways to make them your very own. So that's part of what's going on the Patreon channel. The other thing that's going on the Patreon channel is we have started our Coral Reef Judy Niemeyer quilt by our dear friend David Mitchell that I am quilting. This is not a piece along. This is a quilt along. I'm actually doing the long arm quilting on that, and so I'm showing there are some episodes that we're doing step by steps of what I'm doing with that quilt, and it's fun to watch the process of figuring out what to do on a Judy Niemeyer quilt. There are tons of options, endless, but this is one of those series that everybody has been really excited about for the quilt along version of our series on our Patreon page. Of course, if you don't know what Patreon is, just a little thing again, you just simply go to patreon.com and then you look up the artists. For us, it would be Quilters Apothecary, and then you make the decision whether or not you want to be a Patreon member and join. It is a paid membership. It's how we support our artists. We typically put up, again, one video every week, minimally. Every once in a while we'll throw in a special tutorial or something like that. We also have live coffee with Jamies that we try to run at least once every 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. We try to do it every 4 weeks, but sometimes we have series going on and we don't want to interrupt those, and so it ends up running maybe 6 weeks before we get out a live. And that's a good place to answer questions and also send your own pictures for quilts that you're not sure how you are going to quilt it. We have a segment called How Would I Quilt This?, which is very wonderful and enjoyable. So just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about going a little further. And by the way, again, I always want to say the cost of joining Patreon for the yearly, which I think is the best deal out there, is less than 2 dinners at a nice restaurant, in my opinion, for your family. So it's a great way to get continued education throughout the year. Okay, so, oh, and by the way, all of the videos stay up there. So in other words, when you join, you don't just get what I have from that point on. You get all the hundreds of past videos that are up there for tutorials. Let me see. The Jamie Wallen channel. Okay, so my channel, which is the Jamie Wallen channel, actually is some quilting occasionally, but not really. It's more of an update of what I'm doing, and it's also my personal channel because I do a lot of different art forms. I have my floss tube videos up there, which is the cross stitch. I have cooking stuff, garden stuff, pyrography, wood brain, all sorts of stuff is up there. But we just released from our garden, our basil video, and how I like to process and freeze my basil for the winter. There are a few little tips if you have a garden and you like to do that, or even if you have simply a patio garden and you have a lot of basil and you want to make sure to save it and you don't necessarily want to dry it. I have a great video on that. Also, we have, as far as the garden stuff, we have a video on how I do my pesto. My pesto is pretty popular. I usually have a waiting list of about 30 people, friends-wise, local, that are like, when you make pesto, will you please make me some for the freezer so that I can have some? So I will share my recipe for that. It's a little bit different than the basic normal recipe, so you might want to check that out.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. So it is the Jamie Wallen channel on YouTube. There are some older quilting things because that used to be our sole channel, but then of course now all of our quilting stuff is over at Quilters Apothecary.
This channel.
This channel that you're looking at right now. And then personal wise, what's going on? Life is crazy. It's that time of year. Holy cow. I know for a lot of you it's vacation time. This tends to be the time of year when people are taking their vacations, kids are out of school. It used to be more so, but now as I get older, my crowd typically don't have kids to go on vacation, but still it tends to be vacation time. So Rich and I are on a health kick. We are, some of you don't know, but we actually gave our I want to say iPod Rich. I'm sorry, our camper.
Arpod.
Our pod, thanks, iPod. Our pod camper, small teardrop camper away because it just didn't suit us anymore. Two large Great Danes traveling, and honestly, it was almost a pain in the butt just to set everything up and get going. It was like, gosh, we could be at home relaxing in the yard and make the yard really nice. But we're getting the itch again because I'd like to see the state parks before I die. There's so much I haven't seen. Yellowstone, or national parks, and so many things here in the U.S. that I have never made my way to see, and I'd love to see them. And of course, I do want to be with my dogs. I don't want to kennel them. So we're actually thinking about taking and turning a cargo trailer into a camper, which is right up Rich's alley, him being retired and not having a lot of hobbies, I have to say. And I say that with love, but typically his hobby has been bossing me around. So it'd be nice to see him fulfill some of his dreams of retirement before we both croak and do something that he enjoys. And that's definitely something that he would enjoy, figuring out all the solar stuff and all of that stuff. And he might actually do a separate channel on that, or even we might have bits and pieces on the Jamie Wallen channel on that type of our conversion thing. But we would like to travel and see a little bit of the U.S. Again, and quit working 60 or 70 hours a week. Which is not a great retirement make. I'll always work because I do what I love, but with Rich, it's kind of that thing. So those are the things. Oh, so the health kick. So yeah, we're on the big health kick. Rich has lost 30 pounds, thank God. We both gained a ton of weight during our time of travel and then going into COVID because we were doing quilt shows 20 to 30 weeks out of every year on the road, and it's really hard after you finish a 12 or 13-hour day at a show with booths and teaching to aim for a salad bar. You typically don't do that. You're going right for comfort food. So that is the compromise of doing that sort of stuff. And those of you that do quilt shows, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but we're both doing the thing. And I always joke around with him that I'm kind of doing it as well. Since he's not ordering all the pizzas he normally orders, I seem to be doing good because it's not something I would go for anyways. I tend to be sticking to my vegetables and low carb stuff. I'm not a what's that called, Rich? That's called the I'm not typically a all protein, all meat guy, whatever that carnivore type diet, the keto thing. I don't find that to be very healthy long term. I think it could be valuable short term, but the basic carbs like bread and such, I'm kind of shying away from, and we're both doing really good, so that's working good for us. So there is our QA news for the week. We hope everybody's doing wonderful. We know that we went through a period of a lot of tornadoes and weather the past month or so, so hopefully all of our dear friends out there are doing okay and haven't been affected horribly. And if you have, just know that you are definitely in our heart and our thoughts and good wishes to recoup from any damage done by that. As always, know that you are loved. We love our community out there. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you all down the road. Goodbye, everybody.